Hi, this is Eric Barstow, the co-owner of Painter Choice and the founder of Painting Business Pro. This is the fourth video in a series of 6 videos about how to systematically and step-by-step grow your painting business. First video we did an overview, and the second video we talked about how to free your time up, namely in the production area. We spend too much time in production. We need to free that time up so we can focus on marketing and sales. In the third video we talked about the balance of marketing and sales and how you might, once you start to free some of that time, where do you start marketing and how do you start filling some of that free time with sales to start growing your business. We also talked about how critically important sales is and how your ultimately the biggest limitation to growing your business is going to be your sales ability, because you can only afford certain marketing services depending on how good you are at sales. So you really limit the number of potential customers you can even get by not being good enough at sales to serve those customers. So in this video we want to talk about sales. Now I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is that I've been doing this for 10 years and I've been training hundreds or thousands of people on sales, and I love training sales. I could talk about sales for weeks. The bad news is that I could talk about sales for weeks. If I could tell you something in a 10-minute video that's going to take your sales from 25% to 50%, that would be incredible. Unfortunately, I can't do that. The only way to really get really great at sales is by a ton of practice and by learning. So we're going to kind of cover that though. And we'll just get right into it. So the first step in mastering sales, and when we talk about mastering sales, what we're really trying to do is we're trying to get the biggest bang for our buck. So if we spend $1,000 on a marketing service, we want to maximize how much revenue we get out of that $1,000. That's really what we're talking about when we talk about sales. Because the first part of sales is actually converting the lead. And this isn't, this we lump into sales, but this isn't traditionally what you might think of when you think sales. So we get a customer who comes to us. Maybe it's a referral, maybe it's from a paper lead service, maybe it's from our website, or maybe whatever. We get a lead. The first most important thing is to convert your leads. And since many of you will probably be starting with a paper lead service, just because they're great services, we'll talk about pay per lead services specifically. So the way those services usually work is a customer submits their information online requesting quotes, and the moment that they submit that request, we get an email or a text message or maybe both, and we can call that customer to set up the lead. So there's a pretty basic process to this. First is the first most important thing with all of your leads, you have to call them quickly. Homeowners, they don't want to spend their time looking around for painters all day. So if they ask for a quote from you, or they call your company line, or they submit their information online, and they don't get contacted by anyone for sometimes even a few hours, they'll just go look somewhere else. It is unbelievably easy to find a painting contractor now with Google. You just go on Google, you type painting contractor, and there's 30 of them. It's not hard to find painters. It is hard, however, to find painters that respond to phone calls and emails promptly. So if you're one of the people who gets a lead and you contact the customer instantly, and instantly, I really do mean instantly, call them within 10 minutes at the most. Call them, leave a professional voicemail. Professional voicemail might be something like this. Ring, ring. Hey, John. This is Eric Barstow with Foothills Painting. I noticed you had put through a request on our website for an estimate. I just wanted to give you a call and see if we can set up a time to get out there and get you a quote. Really looking forward to hearing from you. You can reach me at this phone number. If I don't hear from you, I'll try again in a couple days, and we'd love to set up a time to get you a quote for your project. Simple, professional. Let them know you'll try them again. People are busy. Don't freak out if your leads don't answer. A lot of these people aren't going to answer. Second thing I always do with leads is if you don't reach them on the first phone call, send them an email, professional email. Hey John, this is Eric with Foothills Painting. I noticed that you submitted a request on our website to get a quote for your exterior painting project. Really looking forward to getting you an estimate. You can reach me by email or by this phone number, or I'll try calling you again in a couple days. You don't get a hold of them there, try them later that day or the next day. Try the next day, and maybe you call the first 3 days, and then maybe wait a couple days, then maybe send another email, then maybe you try sending a text a week later, and you'll just slowly start spacing out how frequently you contact that customer until maybe after 5 to 10 tries, maybe you declare it's a dead lead. But you want to be really diligent, because I can't tell you how many jobs we've won because we were the only company that kept following up 6 months later. No one else called. They were still going to paint. We were just the company that kept calling, so they went with us. So follow up, just being a little bit better than the next guy with follow-up is easy to do, which kind of brings me to my next point, which is professional. So this seems obvious, but in this industry, there's not a lot of professionalism in the sales process. So if you can just be a little bit more professional than the next guy, that's going to set you above. So some really easy things you can do right away to be more professional is have a written contract. Make sure that you have a nice professional written contract, that you're not and also if you're going to deliver an electronic estimate, like a digital one, like you're going to go home and type it up, get it to them as soon as possible. Do not wait 3 days. Do not wait a week. I can't tell you how many jobs I win because the other painter took 2 weeks to get the quote over. Get it to them right away and make sure it's written. It's not on a business card. It's not verbal. Make sure it's a professional looking agreement. The next thing that you can do is have a professional estimate. So there's another couple videos I have on YouTube that you can watch about sales that are going to go into, there's one that's setting up the perfect estimate, and that walks through, our initial phone call to the customer. It's a really detailed phone call. It sets up an 1.5 hour long estimate where we're going to meet with the customer, walk the house with them. We're going to do our estimate right there, and we're going to write up the bid right on the spot. And just by doing our process that way, we separate ourselves and look more professional. Next thing you can do is you can make a really basic client manual. Basically just a small binder that's got a page that's about you, your warranty information, some before and after pictures, some testimonials, and just provide that to the customers. That's another way that you can just look a little more professional. And then lastly, just be professional, dress professional, and if you're, and talk professionally and listen. So a lot of this professionalism actually kind of leads into this third point, which is you've just got to learn. So much of sales is learned over time. I've trained so many people in sales, and it just takes time and practice and diligence and training and learning. And I have done a ton of personal development and training and learning, and I've had great mentors and coaches that have helped me get really good at sales. But unfortunately, it's not just a quick fix like, hey, here's how you do great sales. So I do have a couple other videos where I go into more detail on a sales process. I encourage you to check those out. I also offer a course, my Painting Business Pro course, that is heavy on sales. There's probably about 2 or 3 hours of audio, including all the scripts and everything, like our initial call script, the sales script at the estimate, how we schedule and structure the estimate. All of that is included in there. And I actually was just talking with a guy last night who had got the course, and he's in New York City. His name's Rich, and he mentioned to me that before he got my course, he was selling about $35,000 to $50,000 a month, and then he bought my course last March, and from April to November, he sold $125,000 a month. He said he almost quadrupled his sales. He sold over $1 million himself implementing some of the sales techniques I talk about in that course. Unfortunately, I can't fit all of them into a 10-minute video. So this is kind of what I've got for now. I would encourage you to just keep learning. There's so many resources online, not just my resources. There's a ton of great sales trainers. I mean, there's a ton of resources out there and programs and seminars and ways that you can continually develop yourself with sales. I do have some really great resources that I would recommend, and I'll put in the comments below. I'll put links to those other videos so you can start to learn more about sales. But just to recap, this first part is really important. If you do a half-assed job converting your leads and you set up half as many as the next guy, your sales rate, your overall return on marketing is going to be half. So this is a really important one that you can implement right away that will make a big impact on your return with your marketing dollars spent. Being professional, a couple things you can do right away like we talked about is 1, watch my video on how to set up the perfect estimate. It's a very professional call. 2, do a confirmation call and confirm your appointment. 3, physically meet with the customer, walk them around the house, and customize the estimate to them. 4, have a professional contract, and if you're going to email them something, get it to them by the end of the day. Over-deliver on their expectations. If they think it's going to be tomorrow, get it to them today. 4, make a professional client manual. And then, or was that 4 or 5? I don't know, I even lost count. Another thing you do is just dress professional, look professional, be professional, talk professional. And then the last thing is just keep learning. Like, get hungry about sales. Sales makes you so much money. If you just get 10% better at sales, so I just want to break down a quick number for you. So if you get 10%, you increase your sales rate by 10%. Let's say in a typical year, let's just say you do 100 estimates. So you do 100 estimates, you increase your sales rate this year by 10%, so you get an extra 10 jobs this year. by getting an extra 10 jobs at $3,000 a job. That's an extra $30K in revenue. That's terrible. This is $30K. $30,000 in revenue is what you get. Let's say your profit margin is 20%. That's an extra $6,000. You can not work any more time. Like, you work the exact same amount and you can make an extra $6,000 by increasing your sales rate only 10%. And that's if you only do 100 estimates a year. Imagine if you're doing 200 estimates a year, 300 estimates a year. If you did 300 estimates a year and increased it by 20%, you'd get another 60 jobs. Imagine if you had 60 more jobs without having to do any more estimates. You'll be a little bit busier managing your production manager, but if you followed my advice in the second video, you shouldn't have to deal with a lot of that production. You should have people in place and great systems so that you can just continue to grow. So the best place that you can put your time is into raising that sales ability, getting your sales better, and the best way to do that is learning and practice. Even if you don't take anyone's advice, just go do 500 estimates. You will be a much better salesperson after 500 estimates if you're actively focusing on being better. So my best advice to you about doing great at sales and mastering sales is practice, practice, practice. It's a never-ending game. Have fun with it and serve your customers, which actually reminds me of the last thing I'll say, which I've found to be the easiest way to naturally do great sales is care more about your customer than you do about making the sale. If you care more about your customer than you care about making the sale, you will sell more than anyone else out there. And it's easier said than done, but you really set your personal agenda aside and you go deliver an amazingly detailed, thorough, customized estimate for your customers and really put their concerns first. And that's the best way that you can immediately get better at sales. So I'd love to keep talking about it, but I also want to keep these videos short. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I'm happy to respond to all of them, and I'll keep putting out great stuff about sales, but please get hungry, go get good at sales, go make yourself some more money, and in the next video, we're going to talk a little bit more about marketing, so we'll see you there.